The Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Translated by Edward Fitzgerald. Wake for the sun who scattered into flight the stars. Before him from the field of night drives night along with them from heaven, and strikes the Sultan's turret with a shaft of light. Before the phantom of false morning died, methought a voice within the tavern cried, when all the temple is prepared within, why nods the drowsy worshipper outside? And as the cock crew, those who stood before the tavern shouted, "Open then the door! You know how little while we have to stay, and once departed may return no more." Now the new year, reviving old desires, the thoughtful soul to solitude retires, where the white hand of Moses on the bough puts out and Jesus from the ground aspires. A ram indeed is gone with all his roes, and Joshmune's 7-ring cup where no one knows, but still a ruby kindles in the vine, and many a garden by the water blows, and David's lips are locked but in divine, high piping pellibly with wine, 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 red wine. The nightingale cries to the rose, that salad cheek of hers tincarnadine, "Come fill the cup, and in the fire of spring your winter garment of repentance fling. The bird of time has but a little way to flutter, and the bird is on the wing. Whether at Nashi-Pashur of Babylon, whether the cup with sweet bitter run, the wine of life keeps oozing drop by drop, the leaves of life keep falling one by one. Each morn 1,000 roses brings you say, yes, but where leaves the rose of yesterday? And this first summer month that brings the rose shall take Joshmune and Khayyam away. Well, let it take them. What have we to do with Khayyam the Great or Khosrow? Let Giles and Rustrum bluster as they will, or Hatim call to supper, heed not you. With me along the strip of herbage strewn, that just divides the desert from the sun, where name of slave and sultan is forgotten, peace to Mahmud on his golden throne. A book of verses underneath the bough, a jug of wine, a loaf of bread, and thou beside me singing in the wilderness, a wilderness where paradise endow. Some for the glories of this world, and some sigh for the prophet's paradise to come. Ah, take the cash and let the credit go, nor heed the rumble of a distant drum. Look to the blowing rose about us, lo, laughing she says, into the world I blow. At once the silken tassel of my purse, tearing its treasure on the garden throw, and those who husbanded the golden grain, and those who flung it to the winds like rain. I like to know such are yet earth are turned, and bury at once men want dug up again. The worldly hope men set their hearts upon turns ashes or prospers, and anon, like snow upon the desert's dusky face, lightning, little hour or two is gone. Think in this battered caravanserai, whose portals are alternate night and day, how Sultan and Sultan with his pomp abode his destined hour and went his way. They say the lion and the lizard keep the courts, or Joshua gloried and drank deep. And Bahram, the great hunter, the wild ass stamps over his head, but cannot break his sleep. I sometimes think that never blows so red the rose as where some buried Caesar bled, that every hyacinth the garden wears dropped in her lap from once some lovely head, and this reviving herb, whose tender green pledges the river lip on which we lean. I'll lean upon it lightly, for who knows from what once lovely lip it springs unseen. Ah, my beloved, fill the cup that clears today of past regrets and future fears. Tomorrow, why tomorrow I may be myself with yesterday 7,000 years. For some we loved, and the loveliest and the best, that from his vintage rolling time hath pressed, have drunk their cup in a round or two before, and one by one crept silently to rest. And we that now make merry in the room, they left in summer dresses in new bloom. Ourselves must beneath the couch of earth descend, ourselves to make a couch for whom. Ah, make the most of what we may spend before we too into the dust descend. Dust to dust and under dust to lie. Sans wine, sans song, sans singer, and sans end. Alike for those who for today prepare, and those that after some tomorrow stare. A muezzin from the tower of darkness cries, Fools, your reward is neither here nor there. Why, all the saints and sages who discussed of the two worlds so widely, they are thrust like foolish prophets forth. Their foreheads to scorn are scattered, and their mouths are stopped with dust. Myself, when young, did eagerly frequent doctrine's saint, and heard great argument about it and about, but evermore came out by the same door wherein I went. With them the seed of wisdom did I sow, with mine own hand wrought to make it grow. And this was all the harvest that I reaped. I came like water, and like wind I go unto the universe, and why not knowing, nor whence like water willy-nilly flowing, and out of it as wind along the waste, I know not whither willy-nilly blowing. What when without asking hither hurried whence, and without asking whither hurried hence? Oh, many a cup of this forbidden wine must drown the memory of that insolence. Up from their center through the seventh gate I rose in on the throne of Saturn's sate, and many a knot unravelled by the road, but not the master knot of human fate. There was the door to which I found no key, there was the veil through which I might not see thee. Little talk of while of me and thee there was, and then no more of thee and me. Earth could not answer, nor the seas that mourn, in flowing purple of their Lord forlorn, nor rolling heaven without sighs revealed, and hidden by the sleeve of night and morn. Then of thee and me who works behind the veil I lifted up my hands to find the lamp amid the darkness, and I heard as from without the me within the blind. And to the lip of this portern urn I leaned the secret of my life to learn, and lip to lip it murmured, While you live, drink, for once dead you never shall return. I think the vessel that with fugitive articulation answered, Once did live, and drink, and all the passive lip I kissed. How many kisses might it take and give? For I remember stopping by the way to watch a potter thumping his wet clay, and with its all obliterated tongue it murmured, Gently, brother, gently pray. And has not such a story from of old down man's successive generations rolled, of such a clod as saturated earth cast by the Maker into human mold, and not a drop that from our cups we throw, for earth to drink of may steal below, to quench the fire of anguish in some eye, there hidden far beneath and long ago, as when the tulip for morning sup of heavenly vintage from the soil looks up. Do you devoutly do the like till heaven, to earth and virtue like an empty cup, perplexed no more with human or divine. Tomorrow's tangles to the winds resign, and lose your fingers in the tresses of the 10 cypress slender minister of wine. And if the wine you drink, the lip you press, and in what all begins and ends in yes. Think then you are today what yesterday you were, tomorrow you shall not be less. So when that angel of divine could drink, at last shall find you by the river brink, and offering his cup invite your soul, forth to your lips to quaff you shall not shrink. Why, if the soul can fling the dust aside, and naked on the air of heaven ride, we're not ashamed for him in this clay crippled to abide. 'Tis but a tent where it takes his one day's rest, a sultan to the realm of death addressed. The sultan rises, and the dark frost strikes, and prepares it for another guest. And fear not lest existence closing your account and mine should know the like no more. The eternal sake from the bowl has poured millions of bubbles like us, and will pour when you and I beneath the veil are past. Oh, but the long, long while the world shall last, which of our coming and departure heeds, as the sea's shelf should heed a pebble cast, a moment's halt, a momentary taste of being from the well amid the waste. And lo, the phantom caravan has reached the nothing it set out from. Oh, make haste! Would you that the spangle of existence spend about the secret? Quick about it, friend! A hair perhaps divides the false and true, and upon what, prithee, my life depend? A hair, perhaps, divides the false and true. Yes, and a single leaf where the clue, could you but find it true, the treasure house, an adventure to the Purmaster too, whose secret presence through creation's veins, a running quicksilver like you elude your pains, shaking all shapes from Ma to Mahi, and they change and perish all, but he remains. A moment guessed, then back behind the fold, immersed in darkness, drowned the drama rolled, which for the pastime of eternity he doth himself contrive and act behold. But if in vain, down on the stubborn floor of earth and up to the heavens' unopening door, you gaze today while you are you, and how then? Tomorrow you, when shall you be you no more? Waste not your hour, nor in the vain pursuit of this and that endeavor and dispute. Is it better to be jocund with the fruitful grape than sadden after none or bitter fruit? You know, my friends, with what a brave carouse I made a second marriage in my house, divorced bold barren reason from my bed, and took the daughter of the vine to spouse, for is and is not through the line and rhyme, and up and down by logic I divine. Of all that one should care to fathom, I was never deep in anything but wine. Ah, but my computations, people say, reduced to year to better reckoning. Nay, 'twas only striking from the calendar of born tomorrow and dead yesterday, and lately by the tavern door agape came shining through the dusk an angel's shape, bearing a vessel on his shoulder, and he bid me taste of it, and 'twas the grape. The grape that can with logic absolute the 72 jarring sects confute, the sovereign alchemist that in a trice lips lead and metal into gold transmute. The mighty Mahmud, Allah-breathing Lord of that all the misbelieving and black horde of fears and sorrows that infest the soul, scatters before him with his whirlwind sword. Why be this the juice, the growth of God, who dare blasphemy the twisted tendril under the snare? A blessing, we should use it, should we not? And if a curse, why then, who said it there? I must abjure the balm of life, I must, scared by some after reckoning taken on trust, or lured with hope of some diviner drink, to fill the cup when crumbled into dust. Oh, threats of hells and hopes of paradise, one thing is certain, this life flies. One thing is certain, and the rest is lies. The flower that once has blown forever dies. Strange is it not that of the myriads who before us passed the door of darkness through, not one returns to tell us of the road which to discover we must travel to. The revelations of devout and learned, who rose before us and as prophets burned, are all but stories which awoke from sleep. They told their comrades and to sleep returned. I sent my soul through the invisible, some letter of that afterlife to spell, and by my soul returned to me and answered, I myself am heaven and hell. Heaven but the vision of fulfilled desire, and hell the shadow of a soul on fire, cast on the darkness into which ourselves, so late emergent from, shall soon expire. We are no other then a moving row of magic shadow shapes that come and go, round with the sun-illumined lantern held in midnight by the master of the show. But helpless pieces of the game he plays upon his checkerboard of nights and days, hither and thither moves and checks and slays, and one by one back in the closet lays. For the ball, no question, makes a vase and knows that ere and there and strikes the player goes, and he that tossed you down into the field, he knows about it all, he knows. The moving finger writes, and having writ, moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. And that inverted bowl they call the sky, where under crawling cooped we live and die, lift not your hands to it for help, for it as impotently moves as you or I. With earth's first clay they did the last man need, and there of the last harvest sowed the seed, and the first morning of creation wrote that the last dawn reckoning shall read. Yesterday this last madness did prepare tomorrow's silence, triumph or despair. Drink, for you know not whence you came nor why. Drink, for you know not why you go nor where. I tell you this when started from the goal, over the flaming shoulders of the full of heaven power wind and mastery they flung in my predestined plot of dust and soul. The vine had struck a fibre which about, if clings my being, let the dervish flout. Of my base metal may be found the key that shall unlock the door he howls without. And this I know, whether the one true light kindle to love or wrath, consume me's quite. One flash of it within the tavern caught, better than in the temple lost outright. What of the senseless nothing to provoke, a conscious something to resent the yoke of unpermitted pleasure under pain of everlasting penalties if broke? What from his helpless creature be repaid? Pure gold for what he lent in dross allayed. Sue for a debt he never did contract, and not answer, oh the sorry trade. O thou who didst with pitfall and with gin beset the road I was to wander in, thou wilt not with predestined evil round and mesh, and then impute my fault to sin. O thou to man of baser earth did make, and even with the paradise devised the snake, for all the sin wherewith the face of man is blackened, man's forgiveness give and take. As under cover of departing day, slunk hunger stricken Ramazan away, once more within the potter's house alone, I stood surrounded by the shapes of clay, shapes of all sorts and sizes great and small, that stood along the floor and by the wall, and some loquacious vessels were, and some listened perhaps, but never talked at all. Said one among them, surely not in vain, my substance of the common earth was ta'en, and to this figure molded to be broke or trampled back into shapeless earth again. Then said a second, never a peevish boy would break the bowl from which he drank in joy, and he that with his hand the vessel made will surely not in after wrath destroy. After a momentary silence spake some vessel of a more ungainly make. They sneer at me for leaning all awry. What did the hand then of the potter shake? Whereat some one of the loquacious lot, I think a Sufi pimpkin waxing hot, of all this and potter tell me then, who is the potter, pray, and who the pot? Why, said another, there are some who tell of one who threatens he will toss to hell the luckless pots he marred in making pish. He's a good fellow, and 'twill all be well. Well, murmured one, let those who make or buy my clay with long oblivion is gone dry, but fill me with the old familiar juice, methinks I might recover by and by. So while the vessels one by one were speaking, the little moon looked in on all were seeking. And they then jogged each other, brother, brother. Now for the porter's shoulder not a creaking. Ah, with the grape my fading life provide, and wash the body whence the life has died, and lay me shrouded in the living leaf by not some unfrequented garden side, that even my buried ashes such a snare a vintage shall fling up into the air, as not a true believer passing by, but shall be overtaken unaware. Indeed, the idols I have loved so long have done my credit in this world much wrong, have drowned my glory in a shallow cup, and sold my reputation for a song. Indeed, indeed, repentance oft before I swore, but was I sober when I swore? And then came spring and rose in hand, my threadbare penitence a pieces tore, as much as wine has played the infidel, and robbed me of my robe of honor well. I wonder often what the vintners buy, one half so precious as the stuff they sell. Ah, yet that spring should vanish with the rose, that youth's sweet-scented manuscript should close. The nightingale that in the branches sang, ah, whence and whither flown again, who knows? But would the desert of the youth fountain yield one glimpse, if dimly yet indeed revealed, to which the fainting traveler might spring, as springs the trampled herbage of the field? Would but some winged angel ere too late arrest the yet unfolded roll of fate, and make the stern recorder otherwise in register or quite obliterate. Ah, love, could you and I with him conspire to grasp this sorry scheme of things entire? Would not we that shatter it to bits and then remold it nearer to the heart's desire? Yon rising moon that looks for us again, how oft hereafter will she wax and wane? How oft hereafter rising look on us through this same garden, and for one in vain? And when like Kurosaki you shall pass among the guest stars scattered on the grass, and in your joyous errand reach the spot where I made one, turn down an empty glass.